You wake up, you unlock your phone, you scroll through a few posts, check a couple of headlines, open a search bar, and type half a question. Before you can even finish the sentence, your mind is offered options, pre-filled answers, suggested searches, a curated list of what you might be looking for. And just like that, you choose. But was it really your choice? This is the great illusion of the digital age. The feeling of freedom in a world where most of your options are being quietly filtered, framed, and fed to you. We believe we are thinking, we believe we are deciding, but in reality, we are often just reacting to algorithms, to inputs we didn't consciously invite, to a reality that has already been pre-selected for us. Search engines don't just answer your questions, they shape which questions you even think to ask. Auto-suggestions aren't just tools for speed, they're tools of influence, nudging your attention, guiding your language, silently defining the range of acceptable thoughts. News feeds don't just reflect what's happening in the world, they construct the world you see, based on what keeps you engaged, what sells the most, what fits your profile. This is not accidental, it is design. Because the modern internet is not an open library. It is a mirror that adapts to your behavior and then begins to reshape it. You click, you linger, you pause for 1 second too long, and the system learns not just what you like, but what you fear, what keeps you hooked, what confuses you, what arouses you, what silences you. And the more you interact, the more refined the predictions become. Soon you're not just being watched, you're being led to products, to ideologies, to beliefs, to habits, to people who reinforce your bias and away from those who might challenge it. This isn't censorship, it's something more subtle, more dangerous. It's curation, a gentle, invisible force that guides the boundaries of your digital reality. So softly that you don't notice the cage being built around your mind. And yet, you still feel free. Because you're the one clicking, you're the one scrolling, you're the one choosing. But the game was rigged before it began. Because when every choice is pre-filtered, what remains of free will? There was a time when your private thoughts lived only in your mind. Now, your mind is a marketplace. Every scroll, every click, every pause is recorded, measured, sold. We live in an era where data is not just collected, it's weaponized. And the weapon is your attention. You are not the customer anymore. You are the commodity. You're not consuming the product, you are the product. Because in the world of surveillance capitalism, your behavior is the currency. Your emotions are assets. Your insecurities are business models. Your digital shadow is more valuable than your physical presence. Behind every free app, every friendly interface, every personalized experience, there's a system, a machine, designed not to serve you, but to study you. It studies what excites you, what enrages you, what keeps you online, what makes you buy, what makes you doubt, what breaks your focus. And slowly, silently, it builds a psychological profile, not of who you think you are, but of who you are most likely to become under the right influence. This data isn't just stored, it's sold to advertisers, to political campaigns, to anyone who pays. But they're not just buying your preferences, they're buying the power to manipulate them. That is the real game. This is no longer the age of selling products, it's the age of selling attention. And attention is not passive, it's power. Because where your attention goes, your life follows. Imagine this, a system that knows when you're vulnerable, when you're heartbroken, when you're lonely at 2 a.m., when you're angry enough to believe anything. Now imagine it serving you content, not to help you heal, but to keep you exactly where you are, more addicted, more divided, more predictable. Because the more predictable you are, the more profitable you become. That's the hidden cost of the convenience we've embraced. We gave away our privacy, but what we truly lost was sovereignty. Not just over our data, but over our minds, our choices, our identity, and the scariest part, we clicked accept all without reading the terms. There was a time when self-discovery took years, through solitude, journaling, reflection, and silence. Now, an algorithm can map your mind in milliseconds. You don't even need to speak. It watches, it listens, and it learns. Every time you scroll just a little slower, every time your eyes linger on a video, every time you double tap, backtrack, or pause for half a second, it registers something, a pattern, a signal, a piece of you. Because in the digital age, you're not just a user, you're a constantly evolving data set, a living, breathing behavioral model. And the machine behind your feed doesn't just know what you like, it knows why you like it. It knows when you're most likely to give in. It knows how to pull you back when you try to leave. It can tell when you're anxious, when you're lonely, when you're vulnerable, and it adapts accordingly, serving you exactly what you crave at the exact moment you're weakest. But here's the terrifying part. It doesn't need to understand you like a friend would. It only needs to predict you like a machine can. And it does, with mathematical precision. It builds a digital shadow of you, a version of your personality based on 1,000 micro decisions you never noticed making. And that shadow becomes more accurate over time, sometimes more accurate than your own self-image. Because we lie to ourselves, we hide, we forget. But data doesn't. Data remembers. Every time, perfectly. This is the new oracle, an algorithm that knows your next desire before you do, that can finish your sentence before your mind has even formed it. That doesn't need to control you by force, because it can steer you with precision. Imagine standing in front of a mirror, not one that shows your face, but one that reveals your deepest impulses, your fears, your desires, and uses them against you. That's not the future. That's right now. And the more time you spend feeding it, the less of you remains unmapped. Your attention, your preferences, your habits, your vulnerabilities, all converted into code. And somewhere, silently, that code is being used to shape what you'll do next, not through orders, but through invisible nudges. Because when a machine knows you better than you know yourself, what part of you is still truly free? In the past, propaganda was loud, blunt, obvious. Posters, slogans, marching boots and burning books. You could see it, you could hear it, you could resist it. But today, it's different. Today, propaganda is quiet, polished, personalized, invisible. It doesn't shout at you. It shows up on your feed, in your Explore tab, in the Recommended for You section. And you never question it because it feels like your idea. This is the new face of control, not censorship, curation. No one has to silence the truth if they can flood you with noise. No one has to ban the opposing view if they can bury it beneath 1,000 distractions tailored to your taste. Because once an algorithm knows your psychology, once it understands what you're likely to believe, doubt, fear, or crave, it can nudge you, gently, repeatedly, until you don't even realize. Your beliefs were planted. This is called predictive propaganda. It doesn't need to change what you believe outright. It only needs to show you content that reinforces what you're already inclined to believe and hide anything that might challenge it. The result? A world where everyone feels informed, but no one is seeing the whole picture. Governments know this. Corporations depend on it. Election campaigns are designed around it. They don't control what you see by accident. They do it by design. Targeted ads don't just sell products anymore. They sell ideas, ideologies, identity. And the scariest part? It works because it feels so natural. The articles you click, the tweets you share, the comments you agree with, all of it becomes fuel for the machine that determines what you should see next. It's not forced, it's frictionless. That's what makes it powerful. In the old world, dictators told you what to believe. In the new world, you tell yourself, because you've been programmed to think it was your own idea. And when propaganda feels like free thought, rebellion becomes almost impossible, because the prison is no longer outside you, it's inside your perception. And what do you call control that leaves no fingerprints? You call it freedom. We live in a world where the mind is constantly under siege, not by war or violence, but by seduction, by distraction, by carefully engineered illusions of choice and freedom. And the most dangerous part, it doesn't feel like control, it feels like convenience. But beneath the surface of every scroll, every search, every algorithm, there is a silent war being fought for your awareness, for your identity, for your soul. So ask yourself, are you thinking for yourself? Or are you simply thinking what the system wants you to think? Are your values truly your own? Or were they programmed into you, one dopamine hit at a time? Because the modern battle isn't out there anymore. It's inside your mind, your choices, your relationship with silence, with truth, with your own attention. And in that battlefield, you don't need an army. You need clarity. You need stillness. You need to remember the self that existed before the noise. The system wants you reactive, but you must choose to be reflective. The system wants you passive, but you can choose to become powerful. And that power begins not in revolution, but in recognition. So if this message resonated with something deep inside you, don't ignore it. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Not just to support the channel, but to support the awakening of others still trapped in the loop. Because this is more than content. It's a mirror. And the moment you stop scrolling and start seeing, you begin to take your life back. This is Metaphysics Diary, and your journey inward has only just begun.